1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 29 through 35. What I mean, brothers and sisters, is that the time is short. From now on, those who have wives should live as if they do not. Those who mourn, as if they did not. Those who are happy, as if they were not. Those who buy something, as if it were not theirs to keep. Those who use the things of this world, as if not engrossed in them. For this world, in its present form, is passing away. I would like you to be free from concern. An unmarried man is concerned about the Lord's affairs, how he can please the Lord. But a married man is concerned about the affairs of this world, how he can please his wife. His interests are divided. An unmarried woman or virgin is concerned about the Lord's affairs. Her aim is to be devoted to the Lord in both body and spirit. But a married woman is concerned about the affairs of this world, how she can please her husband. I'm saying this for your own good, not to restrict you, but that you may live in a right way in undivided devotion to the Lord. So this will be our final sermon of chapter 7, although it's not the final word. There are still 6 more verses about some other things here in 1 Corinthians 7. But we really get to the heart, and this is why we're preaching this text last of this chapter in terms of what Paul's desire for the Corinthians is. And we'll see that as we go through this. So let's begin with this first phrase. What I mean. You should immediately ask yourself, what are you talking about? He's obviously clarifying what came before this. So he's referencing back to verses 25 through 28. And up there he said, if you remember, because of the present crisis. And he's taking that phrase and these verses here, and he's unpacking them here. So if we were to look at the whole text, we would see that 29 through 31 is an explanation of 25 through 28. And certainly, by the way, 32 through 35 is also included in that. So it's not just this, it's this whole section here. It's an unpacking of this thought because of the present crisis. So if you were wondering, what last week is, not last week, but a couple weeks ago, what was the present crisis? You'll really be able to see it here. So he says, what I mean, brothers and sisters, is that the time is short. What does he mean? That the time is short. Present crisis, right here. The time is short. So what becomes clear is that we're talking about the return of Jesus. That's the thing that makes time short. And then he says, from now on, those who have wives should live as if they do not. Let's number these because he gives several commands. We could kind of summarize them at the end. First, I want to take this. From now on, and I would even underline this as a command. Starting today, this is how you must live. And it applies to everything that follows, all the way down to this 4. 1, those who have wives should live as though they do not. That's the first unit that we have. The second, those who mourn as if they did not. That's the second. Here's the third. Those who are happy as if they were not. And the 4th, those who buy something as if it were not theirs to keep. And the 5th, those who use the things of this world as if not engrossed in them. And obviously all of these use a similar form. First, he identifies the target audience, those who have wives. And this is those who have husbands as well. So the subject is the married. Should live. This is the key verb here. Should live as if they do not. They should live as if they do not have wives. Okay? Those who mourn, that's the second subject. The mourners. People who are depressed, who are sad because of events or anything like that. As if what? They did not mourn. Which means as if the thing that was making them sad wasn't a big deal, right? Third, those who are happy, which is the opposite of the mourner, right? As if they were not. So the time is short. The present crisis makes A married person as if they're not married, a mourner as if they're happy, the happy as if they mourn. It doesn't have to be to that level, but it's a reversal. Those who buy something, the buyer, as if it were not theirs to keep, as if it were temporary. Those who use the things of this world, the user of things of the world, as if not engrossed in them. Wow, what a strong word for fandom, right? Or the hobbyist. That's really, I think, who he's talking about here. The person who is deeply interested in the things of this world. So we have this piece at the beginning. What I mean, the time is short. That gets now applied in this way. So time being short means that everything becomes temporary. And sorry, that should be blue. The present crisis, time is short. These two thoughts connect strongly to this last statement. The world in its present form is passing away. So you heard me talk about the return of Jesus. The reason that the return of Jesus is so important is because when he comes, the present form of this world is passing away. There will be a new heaven, new heavens, new earth. Other places in Scripture talk about fire burning everything or a great shake. Hebrews 12, that's going to shake everything, and only that which belongs to the Lord shall remain. This world is passing away. So what's that mean? That means your marriage is passing away. Whatever makes you sad is passing away. Whatever makes you happy is passing away. The things you buy are passing away. The things of this world are passing away. Live that way is his point, right? That's the command here. If we were to take anything, it's live this way, right? Live as if everything is passing away. Why? Because it is. Because it is. And that idea, when he says this, what I mean, he makes it super clear, but then he applies it here back in verses 32 through 35, and he returns to the topic of marriage. Okay? He returns to the topic of marriage. Sorry, I usually do that in green. He returns to the topic of marriage, and this is marriage in light of Christ's return. Return, capital C. Marriage in light of Christ. So I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Okay. And then this is his wish. This is super important. I would like you to be free from concern. That's the theme of this. In fact, what I'll do is let's use a highlighter. Concern, 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 concern. There you go. So 5 times concern comes up. And then there's another word that's very similar, but affairs. And let's do that in a different color. Affairs, 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 affairs. Okay, great. And as we look at this, that's going to help us kind of unpack this as we go through. So we're just paying attention to those words that come up a ton. Let's see how they get fleshed out in this whole section. I would like you to be free from concern. This is the desired state of the believer. Free from what? Free from concern. Why? Because this world is passing away. Why would we want to be concerned with the things that are going to go away? Right? Why would we want to devote time to that when we know that these things are going to disappear? I'd like you to be free from concern. And then he begins to give an example between an unmarried man, that's person number 1, and the married man, that's person number 2. An unmarried man is concerned about what? The Lord's affairs. Concern for the affairs of the Lord. What does that functionally look like if we're concerned about the Lord's affairs? Boom. How he can please the Lord. The unmarried man is concerned about the Lord's affairs. Here's the unpacking of this idea, how he can please the Lord. To please the Lord is to be concerned about his affairs. But here's man number two. A married man is concerned about what? The affairs of this world, which, again, this world is passing away. The world is passing away. So why would you want to be concerned about those things? And if you get married, you will necessarily have to be concerned about the things that are passing away. And if the one concerned about the Lord's affairs wants to please the Lord, then the one concerned about the world's affairs wants to be able to please his wife. It's important to note that this is not a bad thing. Not bad. Just temporary. Okay? It's just temporary. That's Paul's point. A married man is concerned about the affairs of this world, how he can please his wife, but you're not going to be married to her forever, although you will be with God forever, and therefore, his interests are divided. His interests are divided between what? Between the concerns of the Lord and the concerns of this world, right? That's the divide. And then he begins a new thought. Well, not really. He just reiterates the same one. An unmarried woman or virgin, same idea between the married man, is concerned about the Lord's affairs, right? And here it was about pleasing the Lord. Here's the unpacking of that a second time. Her aim is to be devoted to the Lord. So to the is important really here, to the Lord, devoted to the Lord in how, or rather where, interestingly enough, body and spirit. That her whole being, not just her mind, not just her heart, not just her thoughts, but even her body would be totally devoted to the Lord, which makes sense because everything in this world is passing away. So that's to mirror our numbers up top. This is person number one again. But intro person number two, a married woman is concerned about the affairs of this world, how she can please her husband. And this phrase right here perfectly mirrors this phrase up here, right? They are relating to one another, which means that we should also be able to use her aim is to be devoted to the Lord in body and spirit. This is a mirror of this statement right here. And they help us to interpret the other. So the married woman is concerned about the affairs of the world. What does it mean to be concerned about the affairs of the world? Boom. How you can please your husband. Okay. Paul again says, I am saying this for your own good, not to restrict you, but that you may live in a right way of undivided devotion to the Lord. So I want to go back up to the top real quick. Oh, sorry. Oh, not that far up the top. Here, verse 32. I would like you to be free from concern. That's the goal. He wants you to live in a state of freedom. Down to verse 35. I am saying this for your own good, not to restrict you, but for freedom, right? He wants you to live in a free state. And the totally free state is one where you have very few to no worldly affairs and interests, but you live entirely for what is permanent, entirely for what's eternal, entirely for the kingdom of God, entirely to please the Lord. That's where we want to be as Christians. So he says, I am saying this for your own good. This is for your benefit. The world would have us think, Satan would have us think that our good and the world's good are tied together, but that's not the case. Our good is tied to the glory of God, not to the good of the world. It's not a restriction. But, right, these two statements mirror one another. But that you may live. This is a really important word because it denotes the possibility. Not that you will necessarily do this if you're single. It's not like singleness does not automatically equal freedom. Okay, there's a way to be single and be in chains. There's a way to be single and not experience this, but it gives you the possibility that you may live in a right way. And what's the right way? In undivided devotion to the Lord. By the way, this is the right way for the married couple as well. the right way for all of us to live is an undivided devotion to the Lord. And so the stronger and more mature our marriage, the more our marriage as a whole is in devotion to the Lord and freed from the world's concerns. But obviously, because of the nature of the world, because of the nature of sin, because of just simple reality of affairs and concerns, it's going to get in the way. And so it's better then to be able to live in undivided devotion to the Lord. It's why Paul's so adamant about being single. That's why he cares about it so much. It's because we all think that we need to get married or be with someone. And he's like, look, if you want to live for what's permanent, if you want to live in undivided devotion to the Lord, maybe you should be single. Not maybe, go and be single, because your marriage will in many ways get in the way. We've dealt with over this whole text some of the not counterpoints, but rather exceptions to that, and we discover that most of us live in those exceptions to the rule, rather. So just be aware of those as you read this. The goal for the married couple as well is undivided devotion to the Lord. This is where we want to live, and that is why we called this sermon series Married or Single, We Are His, because this is the key at the end of the day. Whether you are married or single, this is where we need to be. And if you're a single person and you actually still have the chance to make the choice, just remember that this is the goal. God bless.